How you doing, Mr. DJ back? I want to stick around for one more night on Billboard's Hot 100, January 13th, 1968. There's still quite a few Lost 45s I want to play from Billboard's Hot 100 from that week. And coming in at number 24, it was at 36, moved up to number 30, crawled up to 29, and jumped up to number 24 the week of January 13th, 1968. It's Come See About Me by Junior Walker and the All-Stars, their version of the Supremes classic. Supremes, produced by Holland Dozier Holland, going back to 1964. Supremes had about 4 or 5 number one hits in 1964. The irony of this whole thing was in the early 60s, the Supremes were known as no-hit Supremes. It was Mary Wells and Martha and the Vandellas. They had some hit records, Smokey Robinson, Marvin Gaye, but not the Supremes. But when the Supremes teamed up with this dynamic producing songwriting team of Eddie Holland, Lamont Dozier, Brian Holland, the magic clicked. It was home runs, one after another. It was Where Did Our Love Go went to number one. Baby Love went to number one. Come See About Me went to number one. And Stop in the Name of Love came right on the heels of that around the fall of 64. And Back in My Arms Again went to number one. And the number ones were broken by actually one of my favorite songs by the Supremes, Nothing But Heartaches, back in the summer of 65. That went to number 11. But anyway, this song by the Junior Walker and the All-Stars version of Come See About Me, produced by Johnny Bristol and Harvey. Well, actually, let me take that back. On the 45, it says Holland Dozier Holland. But on Wikipedia, it says Johnny Bristol. Let me hold off on Johnny Bristol for just a minute. Let's go back into a little bit of history on the All-Stars. The sound of Junior Walker and the All-Stars anchored on Junior Walker's sax playing. Fantastic saxophone player. And I just found this out. I didn't know this. It was, you remember the song Urgent by Foreigner? That blistering sax solo on that record? That was Junior Walker. Damn, I just found that out. That was one of Foreigner's biggest hits back in 1981. But we're in 1968 right now, going into 1968. Well, actually further than that, because Junior Walker and the All-Stars, the group started out in the mid-50s. They later became known as the Rhythm Rockers, and then they changed their name to the All-Stars. The All-Stars, and by the way, Junior Walker's real name, Audrey DeWalt, Mixon Jr., his real name. They were spotted by Johnny Bristol. And Johnny Bristol, he passed the word to Harvey Fuqua. It's Fuqua, I believe. Fuqua was impressed by Junior Walker and the All-Stars. They changed their name to Junior Walker and the All-Stars. He signed them to his Harvey label, but then the Harvey label was absorbed by Motown. Berry Gordy bought out the Harvey label. Therefore, Junior Walker and the All-Stars became part of the Motown family. 1964, their first huge hit was Shotgun. 1965, produced by Berry Gordy himself. The group members, not all the group members played on the studio version of that record. It was Benny Benjamin who played drums, for example, one of the Funk Brothers who played drums on Shotgun, and also James Jamerson on bass playing on the session for Shotgun. But the other hits that followed in its wake, I'm a Road Runner, Badass Jam, 1966 by Junior Walker, Shakin' and Finger Pop was another one, and they also did a version of Marvin Gaye's How Sweet It Is, which was a pretty big hit. Let's go into Johnny Bristol for just a minute. Johnny Bristol teamed up with Harvey Fuqua in the late 60s. They were on the roll, and it's good that they had Motown had a great stable of songwriters like Norman Whitfield, Barrett Strong, and you got Johnny Bristol and Harvey Fuqua teaming up. This is in the wake of the departure of Holland Dozier Holland in 1967. Johnny Bristol and Harvey Fuqua, they wrote, well, they didn't write, but they produced hit records by Marvin Gaye and Tammy Terrell. Ain't No Mountain High Enough, written by Ashford and Simpson. Your Precious Love, they produced that as well. Harvey Fuqua and Johnny Bristol, they also produced Edwin Starr's 25 Miles. That was one of his badass tunes. 1969. Also in 1969, Harvey Fuqua and Johnny Bristol, they co-wrote the song My Whole World Ended the Moment You Left Me. One of the most tear-shedding, melancholy records I've ever heard. Done by David Ruffin. formerly of the Temptations, back in 1969. And they also, now Johnny Bristol and Fuqua also co-wrote, or they co-produced "Someday We'll Be Together," which was the Supreme's swan song in 1969. And they also produced, Junior, I know I'm just giving you a whole list of records that I'm just giving you an idea just how prolific these guys were. They also produced "What Does It Take to Win Your Love" by Junior Walker, probably one of their biggest hits in 1969. But now, this particular record, their version of the Junior Walker's version of "Come See About Me" on the 45, if you look at the 45, it says Holland Dozier Holland, but on Wikipedia it says Johnny Bristol. Johnny Bristol probably produced that record, that particular version, because by the time that record came out, I'm thinking by the time that record came out, Holland Dozier Holland had already left the Motown label. Well, here we are, Billboard's Hot 100 in the top 30, January 13th, 1968, is Junior Walker and the All-Stars with their version of the Supremes' "Come See About Me."